Lunch and Learn with me, Julie Cameron, a business growth specialist with Action Coach Solly Hull. One of the things that we often get asked at Action Coach is exactly what is a business coach? You know, what is it that we actually do? And what I want you to think about is, you know, there are a number of ways that we can help you, and we can help you grow your business, and we can help you with your sales. We can help you develop your team. We can help you with your marketing. We can help you get more time away with your family and with your friends, and to build that profitable business that works and grows without you. And we can help you increase your profits. But most of all, people kind of ask us, exactly what does a coach do? And one thing that I want you to kind of think about, and I'm just pulling it up here so I can read it word for word, is that I want to imagine that you want to ride that bike around that circuit in 60 seconds or less. You know, you could get a contractor that would ride that bike for you. A consultant would tell you what you need to do. A counsellor will get to that childhood problem that prevents you getting on that bike in the first place. A mentor will get on the bike and show you what they would do. But a coach, which is what I am, will meet you down at that circuit, time you, strategize, train with you to get you from your starting time to the and meet you every morning and hold you to account until you reach that target, until you reach those goals and those aspirations for what you want to achieve in your business. So that is fundamentally what a coach does. And that's my job. My aim is to help as many of you guys out there through these lunch and learns, through online sessions, through coaching, through one-to-one sessions, group sessions, whatever that may be, or even through these golden little nuggets of education on the lunchtime, to help you grow your business, to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So who am I? You know, I always feel that sometimes in a new year, we often need to reassess our journey so far and reflect on the year that we've had, reflect on the journey that we've had in our business or in our career. And for me, I've always worked within the hospitality and event sector. I've got a massive passion for service, for hospitality. And I believe that people go into hospitality with a dream and expectation, and it was my role to make those dreams and aspirations come true. And that's something that's kept with me throughout my business career. But as a result of it means that I've got over 20 years of experience of revenue generation, team building, business management, how to create those raving fans. And fundamentally, that's what we want to do in business, is to create those raving fans. And as many of you out there do have children and other commitments, I suppose, I understand that desire for that work-life balance that a lot of us kind of strive to achieve throughout our day-to-day lives. And I recognize that it's hard to achieve. So, you know, we're here to help. We're here to get you that work-life balance that many of us have got into business in order to achieve. So what are we going to talk today? What are we going to talk about today? Well, today we're going to talk about sales, because it's key in our business. You know, what is sales? And sales is a funny one, because you often hear people say, oh, I'm no good at sales, or I'm great at sales, or I don't want to be sold to. Well, it's true. Sales is basically where we're professionally helping people to buy. Okay. It's a learned skill, something that we can all get better at doing. And I think that, again, that's key. You know, we often think that it's a skill that we're born with. You know, oh, you're a natural salesperson. Well, no, they're not. It's something that they've worked hard at doing. And it's something that we, myself including, can also get better at doing. You know, and remember, you know, there's a few key points where it comes to sales. And I think it's really fun. Well, not fun, but I think it's really interesting, actually, when you think about it, because none of us like silence. It's a natural human instinct that silence is, we often hear that thing, silence is golden. Well, in sales, it's true, you know, because the more you speak in sales as the salesperson, the more people can object, because you're giving them more fuel, more ammunition to object to. Okay. So pausing, letting questions, letting answers, letting statements sink in, letting people digest, process, whatever those lovely words that you want to do. You know, if we're doing that, then actually people can object less. You know, and when it comes to sales, questions are key, as is that gift of listening. Now, what do we mean by listening? Well, listening means an active listener. Are you actually fundamentally listening to what your potential client is actually saying? Or are you thinking of the question that you want to ask them next? Because I can guarantee if you're actually listening to them, then maybe your question isn't relevant because they may be giving you the information, or they're going off in a different direction to where you're perceiving the conversation or wanting the conversation to go to. So questions are key, as is that gift of listening. So I'm going to today give you a couple of examples of questions that I think will help in that sales process. And the first one is what I call an authority question. You know, how many times of all of us kind of been through that sales process, and then you get to the end of it and you're thinking that they're going to make a decision and they're like, oh, I just need to go and ask Joe. And you're like, and who's Joe? Well, Joe is the other business owner. Joe is the other business manager. Joe is the family. Joe is the business partner. Joe is the sales director. Joe is, you know, that other person that's involved in the decision-making process, basically. So by asking that authority question straight away in the first steps of your sales process means that you will get in front of the right people. So my example would be, who other than yourself will be involved in this decision-making process? And by asking that question, they could turn around and say, well, nobody. Should you? Well, then you're in front of the right person. But if they turn around and say, oh, it's my brother, he's a business partner, well, then actually it might be worthwhile, and I would say there's 100% worthwhile, actually getting both the brother and whoever in the room in order to listen to you before you go any further. Because if you don't, I mean, how many of us, you know, I've got a little boy and he obviously goes to school and the teachers tell him to tell something to us. And how many times do you just get half a story? You know, and I think that that's key. And it's the same with your sales process, you know. So if you're telling somebody how amazing your product is or how amazing your service is, and then they say, oh, I need to tell all of this to, and I'll use the example Joe again, but I need to tell Joe all of this. Well, how many of the things will they actually remember? And even if they're making notes, even if they're kind of you know, writing it down, they're listening, you know, and actively listening, how much of it are they actually going to remember? And I think that that's key. You know, they say that they will, but we're only human, we don't. So actually, by asking that authority question early on in your process, who other than yourself will be involved in the decision-making process? Do you do that? If not, then I suggest that you do. And it means that you'll get in front of the right people. Now, the other question that I think is really important, and it's something that, again, we all shy away from, is a financial question. Now, many of you are kind of probably going, ooh, financial question, you know, and it's as simple as this, you know, obviously finances are important, but can I ask, what budget have you set aside for this purchase? You know, it's clean, it's nice, it's not saying, well, how much money have you got? It's asking nicely, and it's recognizing that finances are important and they're important to that person. So obviously finances are important, but can I ask, what budget have you set aside for this purchase? You know, and 80% of the time, the answer is that they've not really thought about it. So ask again, do they have a rough figure in mind? Okay, sometimes it's the word budget. Okay, because budget to me sometimes suggests that they have a limit, you know, or they have, budget means cheap, budget means, and it goes down to, you know, like budget holiday, budget caravan, budget food, budget whatever. You know, it sounds less as of an important purchase. So therefore, asking if they have a rough figure in mind, does it take away that and make those people relax? It's all about language. It's all about that communication. You, when talking to your potential customers, will understand what form of communication they want to be talked to, and you'll be able to talk in their language. So therefore, by asking what budget or what figure they had in mind or set aside for this purchase, and it's more like, so why do we ask that question? Well, you know, basically, so you're not selling something to them that they can't afford, you know. And I think that that's really key, because you as a business owner don't want to be spending hours, weeks, months potentially building this person up to a purchase, and then actually it turn around and saying that they've not got the budget for it, or they've not got the finances for it. So you're not selling them something that they can't afford, because it'll make them feel bad. It'll make them feel that you're out of their range, when actually you have the perfect product lower down in their price bracket. Or if their budget is too low for anything that you offer, it might be a question that you could ask, is that if we found a solution that was a few pounds more than your budget, could that budget be stretched at all? We often see it on house purchasing, where people turn around and say that they've got a set budget in mind, they can afford, up to, £250,000 for a house, and how many of us have watched Phil and Kirsty out there, or other kind of house programs, and they've come back and they've found the house of their dreams, and actually all of a sudden they've found that extra 10 grand, they've found that extra 20 grand, so their budget could be stretched that little bit more. And I think that that's key. By asking that question, you're saying, I can maybe find you a solution. It may be a bit more, but it is that your top price. And again, it's understanding your clients, it's getting to know them a little bit better. But by asking that financial question, you're dealing with the elephant in the room, to be fundamentally true. You're dealing with that elephant, that thing that is so non-British, I suppose, by talking about money. Because so you've asked the authority question, you've asked the financial question, you've asked those questions that have got to those emotions, you understand your client, okay? And what you then need to say is offer a solution. And that's key in sales, is that you're offering them a solution. So you turn around and say, so based on what you've told me, either X, Y, or Z would suit your needs best. Then explain the pricing and how it works. Okay, so you're offering a solution. You're not asking them to buy, because nobody wants to be sold to. Everybody wants to buy. And again, that's key to remember. So you're offering a solution. So based on what you've told me, either X, Y, or Z would suit your needs best. And this is what, because of, so it will cost X per month, and this is how it works. And what you have to remember is, look for that body language. Watch for those head nods, those smiles, that body language. So are they sitting forward? Are they engaged in what you're saying? Are they looking at you in the eye? Are they sitting back though? Have they got their arms crossed? What is it fundamentally? Because body language can tell you so much. And then check the temperature. And by that I mean, don't get the thermometer out, check the temperature in questioning. And this goes back to, again, like I said right at the very beginning, the whole sales process, as a good salesperson, is asks the right questions. Okay, so check the temperature. How does that fit with what you had in mind? Or which one fits best with what you had in mind, depending on whether you're giving multiple solutions or just one solution. And the reason we do this, again, is because you're not selling, you're checking. You're checking. Because, again, it might be that doesn't fit at all, and you haven't asked the right questions, so you need to go back. Okay, so how does that fit with what you had in mind? Or which one fits best with what you had in mind? And if they're ready to buy at that place, at that time, it's a case of, yes, that's exactly what I was looking for, or what I had in mind. Or if that's not, and they're not ready to buy, they would turn around and tell you that neither fits, or it's not right for us. Okay, and that's when you can go back to the beginning, because that's fine, because you're not asking them to buy at that stage. You're offering a solution. So what you can do is go back and ask more questions. You can go back to the solutions and offer more. Or you can be like upfront and say, what solution did you have in mind? Because fundamentally, they may actually have a thought, they may have an idea in their head, and they're maybe too, apprehensive to talk about it, or, maybe, it's only just come to them. But by asking them, you're opening up that form of communication. So what solution did you have in mind? But fundamentally, if you've checked the temperature and it's all good, if they're ready to buy, what is the one question that you should never ask them? You should never ask them, would you like to buy that? Because all of a sudden you're selling to them. All of a sudden you're saying, would you like to buy that? Yes or no? Okay, ask a detailed question instead. So can we deliver that on Thursday or Friday? Or let's get started on Monday. It's so much more positive. It's so much more, let's move it forward. It's so much more proactive. And you can ask the question, would it be okay if I cover what we need to do to get that underway? Well, of course it is. You're leading to a positive answer. And that's what the questions, again, it's all about questioning. And I think that that's key when we think of sales, and that's what we need to look at. It's the questions that we're asking. Because fundamentally, those questions sometimes can lead to objections. And I think it's nobody likes objections. Nobody likes to having to deal with objections. Nobody likes people turning around and saying no. We're all guilty of it. So how do we handle those objections that we're getting? Well, it's simple, and well, not simple, but when you think about it, if you're getting regular objections or the same objection, what you have to think about is that you're leading them there, that you're leading them to say no. So what is it that you're saying, or what is it that you're doing in order to make that happen? So is it that you're asking that question that will automatically mean that people will say no? Is it that you're automatically going down a process that you're not giving them that little golden nugget of information, which means that they will purchase from you? What is it? So if you're getting that regular objection or that same objection, remember you are leading them there. So therefore think about what questions or the reason, or is it always at the same point? What is it that's making them say no or object? Now, the way that we deal with objections, and I think again, it's quite it's key when we think about it. So, if you were dealt with somebody who says, well, no, because it's so expensive, what do? Sit there and go, oh no, it's not expensive? Well, no, because all of a sudden that client will probably get, oh, right, okay, fair enough. Well, I'll go elsewhere then. The way to handle objection is to agree. And that's not by saying, oh, yeah, I agree with you, it's really expensive. But nodding, engaging, body language is key at that point. And then ask, are there any other reasons? And the way to ask that question, if their objection is that it's money, so if money wasn't a problem, would you then be happy to go ahead? And if they say, yeah, well, okay, then let's look at money. Let's look at what we can do. So you're solving the objection. But if you say, so if money wasn't the problem, would you be happy to go ahead? And if the answer is no, then there must be another reason. So ask them, what's the other reason that's stopping you from going ahead? Well, it could be time. Well, if money and time weren't the problem, would you then be happy? Well, yes, right, okay, let's look at money. Let's look at time. Let's look at whatever the objection is and overcome it if you can. I mean, fundamentally, and it goes back to that initial question, if you've asked about the budget, you've asked the financial question, and then they're saying that money is the objection here, then they maybe have you actually asked that question in the first place? Or have they been honest with you and have they been truthful with you? Because fundamentally, if you've asked that question and then you're not tailoring the product or service that you have to that budget, then whose fault is it that you've got an objection at that point? Now I'm not saying, belittle what you charge for your services. I'm not saying, discount them at all. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that if you are too expensive for the budget that they have in mind, then maybe it's one of those clients that you don't need. Maybe it's one of those C's and D's clients, and that's obviously something that we'll come on to in our future lunch and learn session. So tips on sales. One, do a mystery shopper on yourself, but also on competitors. It will highlight your sales process. What is that customer journey? What potentially could be leading people to say no? What is stopping people from purchasing from you? But equally, what are your competitors doing that's maybe above and beyond what you're doing? And it will highlight your sales process. It will actually tell you what's actually happening in your own business, but also in your competitors. And we always say, competitor analysis and, and all of that. But actually learning from our competitors is key. They do different things. I can guarantee they'll be buying from you and be doing exactly the same to you. So I just think it's interesting to do that competitor analysis on other people. A old manager of mine when I was working in hospitality, he was a general manager. I was deputy at that point. And a few years ago, he decided to leave hospitality in a way and has opened his own fish and chip shop up in the north of England. And he went round and did competitor analysis with all of the fish and chip shops along the East Coast, good reputable fish and chip shops. What were they doing? What was making them stand out from the crowd? And he's taken the best of all of it. And at the moment, he's absolutely smashing it. He's smashing it with the quality of the food, the presentation of the food. It's the environment that they're going into, the service, everything like that, because he's looked at his competitors and he's taken the best bits and he's enhanced it and put it all together. Now, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. It's good practice in a way. But the key points to remember where it comes to sales is that people like to buy, but no one likes to be sold to. And again, it comes to, it's like in networking, people go along to sell, but nobody wants to buy at that stage. It's really key. But remember, people are there to buy. Give them the tools, give them the opportunity to buy, listen to them, ask those right questions. Nobody likes to be sold to. Let your potential customer communicate with you. Let them talk. Let them, listen to them. And by listening, I really do mean actively listen. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to what their kind of body language, their verbal, non-verbal communication. Listen to them. Let them communicate. Let them talk. Let them paint that picture. Let them give you, in a way, the solution that you can offer. And the best salespeople out there are those who are the best at asking questions. So, sometimes we struggle to think of questions off the top of our heads, and that's when it comes down to training and practicing. If I think back to my first kind of sale, in a way, for Action Coach, my first kind of complimentary session or a discovery call, and I think, oh, kind of cringe, because I since then have practiced, I've trained, I've discovered best practice, I've listened to other people, other coaches, and it's the same for you. Train, do role plays. Everybody cringes and shudders at that point, but do them. Get somebody to practice, get somebody to object. What are you going to say? How are you going to say it? Have your list of questions written down. Have a script. Those are the tools to make it easier for us as business owners, because we are not natural salespeople. Sales, as I said before, is a learned skill, and it's something that we can all get better at. So that's the end of today's Lunch and Learn. I hope you've enjoyed it. I love talking about sales, and I think it's really key asking those two questions, the authority and the financial question. And don't be scared about asking them. I think that's what it comes in. It comes down to confidence and getting to know your client, build those relationships with them. So obviously people out there, you're listening on Facebook, you're listening on LinkedIn. It's lovely to have you along with me today. drop details in the chat. Any questions that you may have, please do reach out to us. We are here. We're here to help you grow your business. We're here to make your business dreams kind of a reality this year. So what are your goals for 2022? What are your sales goals? If you need help with training for sales, please do get in contact. We do run a number of really good kind of sessions on sales. So thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I'm Julie Cameron, business growth specialist with Action Coach Solly Hull, and we're here to help. We're here to help you with whatever you may need for your business journey. Please join me again next Monday, where I will be sharing another golden nugget of business education with you. Take care.